Hey guys, these are the boy in the striped pajama reading questions for chapter 15. Before we start with that, I just wanted to clarify a couple of things from the previous questions. I think most of you understood this, but I just want to make sure that we're all understanding. The first thing is about Pavel's appearance. So on page 142, when it talks about Pavel getting smaller and the color going out of his cheeks, it's not just that he's getting older. Or that he's like losing his hearing or something like that. He's starving to death. The prisoners in the camp are not given any food hardly at all, and Pavel is kind of wasting away in front of Bruno's eyes. So if his hands are shaking or they ask him for wine and he doesn't bring it, it's not just because he's losing his hearing. It's because he's not well. He's sickly and he can't focus and he's just not in good health. The next one had to do with what Bruno asks Shmuel every day. I just want to make a point about this too. It's not only that Bruno wouldn't want to go on to the side of the camp because Shmuel knows how bad things are over there. But the point here is that even though this fence is a place that is there for a reason, nobody's supposed to cross it. It is possible for Bruno to crawl underneath the fence, and likewise, it's possible for Shmuel to get out. This is a concentration camp. It is probably the worst, dangerous place you could imagine. It's not only that Shmuel thinks it won't be very fun if they go over there, but that it's really, really dangerous to be going into a concentration camp. Also, Shmuel potentially escaping. He would be killed. Right? He would be probably shot on the spot for doing something like that. This is very tense. This is a very intense situation, is sort of the point that I think the author is making here. And then the last thing, real quick, is just about the about Shmuel's grandfather. Um, we figure out, we can infer that his grandfather has been in the camp this whole time as well. It's not just that he's missing his grandfather from home; his grandfather was also in the camp. And now that he's gone missing for a few days, we can almost certainly say that he's dead. He has been taken and he has been killed in the camp. And that's why they're not able to find him. It's not just that Shmuel misses him or that, nobody can find him. He's most certainly dead. Okay, so getting into the questions. Number one, what has prevented Bruno and Shmuel from seeing each other? This is very straightforward. On page 161, it's been raining a lot, off and on for several weeks, so they've not been able to see each other. Number two, why is Bruno worried about his friend? Despite the fact that Bruno doesn't understand that Shmuel is being held in a concentration camp, he can see through his appearance that he's not well. So on page 161, he seems to be getting thinner by the day, and his face was growing more and more gray. He doesn't know why, but he can tell that he's not in good health. Okay, number three, what examples do we have of Bruno's mother and Lieutenant Kotler spending a lot of time together? There are several. On page 162, they spend a lot of time, more than seems necessary, planning for the father's birthday party. It says on 162 also that mother laughed at Lieutenant Kotler's jokes more than she laughed at father's. And then on 163, Bruno talks about how much time he's spending there. It's like he's here all the time. He's still here when I go to bed, and then when I wake up in the morning, he's already come back. The implication being that he never left, right? He was there overnight the entire time. We can infer from this that Bruno's mother is having an affair with Lieutenant Kotler. They're together, and that's the implication. I'll do number 4 and 5 together just to make it a little quicker. What reasons does Bruno have for not liking Lieutenant Kotler, and how does he treat him? He gives a lot of reasons. If you want to look at 162 and 163, he says that he never smiles. He doesn't like how he calls him little man, right? He kills a dog for seemingly no apparent reason, right? He's violent. He just doesn't really seem to care about things like that. He remembers when he beat Pavel after he spilled wine on him. There's a lot of reasons why he doesn't like him. And then on page 163 and 164, he teases Bruno, right? He takes the book from him and then he won't give it back to him. He kind of makes fun of him for reading the book. Just the same kind of stuff. Not very nice. Number six, why is Shmuel in the kitchen? It's a surprise. All of a sudden, he shows up there. The reason on 167 is because they've asked him to polish glasses for the party, because he has very small hands. So they've brought him there to do this work, polishing glasses. Number seven, describe Shmuel's hand. So we know that he's starving, right? So he's kind of wasting away. On 167, Bruno compares it to the pretend skeleton that Hairless brought to show him human anatomy. And then at the bottom of 167, on Bruno's hands, which is healthy and normal, the veins weren't visible through the skin. The fingers weren't little more than dying twigs. That implies that that's what Shmuel's look like. The veins are showing through, and they look like dying twigs. Question eight: why is Shmuel afraid to eat in the kitchen? You can certainly understand this, right? He's afraid. Lieutenant Collar has brought him there to do a job to polish glasses and not to be eating chicken with Bruno and his family. So he's terrified, right? He keeps looking at the door because he's afraid Collar's going to come back in. He's terrified. And then we can see this in number eight. Why does Bruno lie about knowing Shmuel when Lieutenant Collar does come in and discover them? He's furious and he's screaming first at Shmuel and then at Bruno. And when Shmuel implies that he knows him, that he says that he's his friend, he turns on Bruno. And he says, "Do you know him? Is he your friend? What is he talking about?" So it's just this. Bruno can just tell that that's not right. It's not. He doesn't know why, but it's not. It's not good. It's not what Collar wants. It's not the answer that he wants. He wants to say that he doesn't know him. So he just essentially says, "Yeah, I don't. I don't know." At number 10, what would you do in this situation? I'll be very interested to read your answers to this because they're going to vary. But I think it's easy. I think it's easy to say, "Oh, I would have told the truth. I would have, stood up and said yes that he's my friend." But keeping in mind everything, he saw how Collar beat Pavel, how he shot the dog. He's yelling at him. He's scared. He's very young. He's not really able to stand up for himself in the way that we might want him to. At the same time, keeping in mind the different positions of Shmuel and Bruno. Whatever's going to happen to Shmuel as a consequence of this, Collar says when we go back, we're going to talk about this, and that's a little scary, right? Whatever's going to happen to Shmuel would not be the same thing that would happen to Bruno. He's in a more, we would say, privileged position than Shmuel is. So maybe it is up to him to stand up and tell the truth because he has those advantages that Shmuel doesn't. I don't know. It's a very difficult situation.